Hi everybody, here we are again with our book reading of the week, and today it's secret number 10. Remember, share and subscribe, okay, to the channel. Spread the word. Maybe this will help someone you know who maybe doesn't attend the VYG. Maybe it's an older person, it doesn't matter. Let's be social, okay, and share these videos, all right? Now, secret number 10, it says, Jesus 100%. Nanda, I will only get married if it's to have a marriage like yours and Junior's. So this is something she heard from someone. Then it says, one day I was talking to my sister-in-law about this subject, and she told me that. At the time, I felt honored and I thanked God immediately. She was not the only one who said that. The other day, a young woman in my church who I'd never spoken to, stopped in front of me and said, when I get married, my marriage will be like yours. She then turned around and left. Come on, I'm sure it will be better, I answered. I was reflecting on our next subject when I remembered that. Then I started wondering, all right, you want to have a wonderful marriage, but I ask you, are you ready for the sacrifices required to get there? Look, it was not easy for me, but if you ask me, it was worth it. If it's worth it, obviously it is. Now, how many people, and I think this has a little bit to do with our previous episode about anxiety when it comes to love life, this thing, this obsession, why not me, why not yet? How many people, they look at the pastor or they look at someone they know in church who is well married, and they desire to have what they have. In a way, it's a good thing. That person is being a good reference, a positive reference in your life. However, many people, and when I say many, I mean many, because when we sit down to talk to people, to advise couples and singles, it's as if people, they fantasize, let me use that word, they romanticize the whole marriage thing. So for instance, if you attend a love therapy at the moment, you will know that my husband and I hold that service. So we share with you our experiences, how we met, things you should and shouldn't do. It's from someone who's been there to people who want to learn on that subject, right? So sometimes you may be listening to our stories and our own examples, and you may think, wow, how I wish, she, for example, she married her first boyfriend. Yeah, it's true. I married my first boyfriend. He was my first kiss, my first everything. First holding hands, like girlfriend and boyfriend. So, but why? There were sacrifices involved. And this is what many people do not understand. They fantasize and they obsess over the idea that someone has something they don't have. But how about you changing your focus to learning what does it entail to be well married in God's ways, right? According to the Word of God. So very few people think about that. They just obsess over the fact, when I find someone, when I meet someone, it has to be like the Bishop James or like Pastor so-and-so. Oh, the way he met his wife was like a fairy tale. Hold on a second. We were normal people like you. But we were practicing certain things that we learned in the church, like we mentioned last week, if you haven't watched yet. Getting busy, serving God, putting God first. And then God will bless you in due time, because I'm doing my part, but I'm not just going to sit and wait. Right? So God will bless me because He sees that I'm putting in an effort. What happens to people who desire to, and at first it sounds so, should I use the word noble? Oh, I desire to have a marriage one day like so and so. Be careful that this doesn't turn into envy. What is envy? Envy, if you look really closely, envy is a desire, is a feeling you have towards someone. You want something that someone else has, but you don't really want to put in the work. You don't want to put in the work, because if you were willing to put in the work, you would never have that emotion. If you look at a friend of yours who graduated, who is a successful professional today, how about the times that you called her to go out and she said, no, today I can't. I need to study. I need to prepare for my exam. But you decided to go and party, but she stayed in and to study. So when you think like that, you don't have those emotions or expectations, because let's say that, for example, in my case, I met my husband like that, but look at my situation. Remember, don't compare yourself with other people. I was young in the church. I came to God. I became a Christian at a young age, 13. So I learned from a young age many things that saved me a lot of trouble. So I was never a single mother. I was never, I didn't get to the point of being heartbroken because I moved in with so-and-so and then we had a life together and then he cheated on me and he left me. So I avoided a lot of pain because I came to God young, but I also didn't just come to God young. I practiced the things I learned in the church, which many of you don't. Okay? So how can you desire what I have or to meet someone the way that I met my husband if your past doesn't match mine? It's not fair that you compare yourself with other people. Maybe you've had relationships before, and it's okay. When you come to God, when you give your life to God, He makes you brand new. He makes you, like I mentioned before, a virgin again. He cleanses you when you get baptized in water and you really give your life to Him. It's a clean slate. It's a new page from now on. So obviously you will not get married as a virgin because you are no longer one. However, the blessing of God will still be a blessing in your life, however it happens, okay? So many people have this bad habit to, it starts like an admiration. Oh, I admire. It all looks very good. But if you dwell on it, it can be bad for you. It can trigger envy. It can trigger you comparing yourself with other people. But let's talk about marriage. What is marriage according to the Word of God? So if you are not willing to do this, don't get married. I'll just say it to you as it is. What is marriage in a godly way? The wife has a role to play and the husband has a role to play. The world says, no, women are the same. And yes, we are the same when it comes to salaries. We should all get the same salary, the same respect. We should all be able to vote, be respected, blah, blah, blah. We've already conquered that. But just here on the side, we still have these groups going on. It's as if someone is out to get them and nobody's out to get them. It's all in their mind. Power to women, and they are destroying themselves. They are no longer feminine. They are lost in their role as a woman in life. So they have this very macho persona, and it's destroying their relationship. They wonder why they are still single, because a man wants a girl, you know, a feminine person, a feminine lady, someone who is a girl, who doesn't have this thing, this, there's this condition that people suffer from, some people who went to war, where even though there's no more war, you've gone home, you still have these anxiety things, these emotions coming to you, is as if you were still under attack. This is actually a real illness. But some women are like that when it comes to feminism. No, people are, so they go to a coffee shop. If the man at the coffee shop counter didn't give them the right coffee, is it because I'm a woman? You don't respect me? Hold on a second, who is talking? So it's in their mind, and the guy at the coffee shop is like, excuse me? I don't know what you're talking about. So it's here. So be careful. So a woman plays a role in life and in a marriage. It's beautiful to be a woman. We are very different from men. We don't have the same strength, unless you are a bodybuilder, which I don't think you are. But we were built differently because we have different roles. And we complete each other perfectly. Perfectly. So what is it like to be married in a godly way? So I have my role to play in the marriage. I look after the home. The husband will help me from time to time if he can, but I don't force him. I don't blackmail him emotionally because he doesn't. I don't give him attitude because he didn't cook or whatever. I understand and I love my role as a woman. So I am a homemaker. Yes, I go to work, it's very busy, but I make it work the best I can. I go online for tips on how to get organized, how to cook meals that are healthy, because I care about the family's health. So a woman's role is beautiful. It is one that the man had a busy day at work, whatever job he does, but he looks forward to that sweet, loving wife of his. When he comes home, he knows, I'll have peace. I'll have quiet time with my wife, with my children. Even though the house is messy because, kids, when they are young, but still you have peace. And the woman sets the mood in her home. But look at when the woman is not godly. She hasn't yet understood her role. She's snappy. She's angry all the time. She's always stressed out. She's always thinking that the husband doesn't value her because he didn't take the rubbish downstairs. I mean, she's a drama queen. Everything is very amplified in her eyes. For example, me. You look at me, oh, I wish I had a marriage like Elaine and Bishop James. I sacrifice a lot, and so does he. So, how do I sacrifice many times? I don't believe I will remember all the sacrifices I make, but let me mention a few. Sometimes I'm right and he's wrong, in his opinion. But I will just keep quiet, wait for a good moment to come back and talk about that same thing that he said that I didn't agree on. And then I'll say, with a very sweet, loving, kind voice, with a nice tone, I will say, listen, you know what you said yesterday? I think it was a little bit unfair. If you put yourself in my shoes, maybe. And then he will apologize. But what does the flesh want to do? Oh, who do you think you are? You are judging me. You don't know what it's like to be working the whole day and then come home and do this and do that. No, because that will start another argument. And then another argument. And guess what? Like they say, the word I'm sorry is the hardest one to say. And then you build resentment inside of you. So there are sacrifices I do for peace sake in my home. I don't let things slide. But I talk about things at the right time, in the right way, with the right tone of voice. And that's why we have peace. And he does the same with me. Because many times, I may not be easy. I have my personality like you have yours. People who get married, they are not the same. Actually, opposites really attract. And I think they complement each other perfectly because one gets a bit of the other personality, traits, and they become really nice and balanced as people. So there are things you need to do. You are tired, but you think, you know what, I got home first. I'm going to cook a meal for my husband. I'm going to prepare lunch for tomorrow. Oh, I'm going to put some washing while some washing going while I go and have a bath or whatever. But nowadays, we have people that they don't want to sacrifice. They don't want to sacrifice. They want to have the last word every time. They want to always be right. They always want to be served. But in God's way, you give first and then you receive. So because I am like that, my husband is always wanting to give me something. We've been married. We've known each other for 24 years. And still today, he's very polite with me. He will say, "Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me." Oh, even when he sneezes really loud and I'm like, "Oh," he will go, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And sometimes I even laugh and say, "Okay, you don't need to apologize." Don't be silly. But it's the care that he has for me. He wants me to be well because of all the things I do for him. For all the things that I, what's the word? When you are in a bad mood and you say something you didn't mean. So sometimes you just have to let that slide because you do the same, don't you? So why create a problem around that? So because sometimes I let things slide, he appreciates that I was understanding towards him having a busy day and feeling a bit stressed that day, that he didn't mean what he said. So things like that makes you appreciate the person and makes you really close to one another. And that's how you create a very strong bond and you build a life together. So I could be mentioning so many more things, but here are a few examples. But nowadays, people have grown to become very selfish. It's about me, what's in it for me, right? They like to say, what's in it for me? In marriage, what's in it for me? I'll tell you what it is. Is you're giving more than you receive. Is you got married to give. How can I make that person happy? Imagine if everybody thought the same. For example, I got married and I have this understanding. How can I make James a happy man? A healthy man, his clothes are always nice and clean, whatever, I'm looking after it. How can I better myself so that I can give more? Imagine him thinking the same way about me. So it's two people wanting to give. It will only be natural that you will receive. Think about that. So if you have problems with being selfish, you have all these things, these ideas that came through articles you read, through trends out there. Many trends out there. Be more you, be more this, power to you. Yes, sure. But in my marriage, out. I don't want any of those things in my marriage. In my marriage, I want the Word of God so that I can have peace, love, faithfulness, and get old with my loved one. That's all I want. So marriage, you protect your marriage. You don't talk about your marriage with your besties. Your marriage is yours alone. It's between you and your husband. You don't go around with your besties, with your girls, telling them about your personal issues, your personal things, your personal plans, because it's disrespectful towards your husband. You are exposing his weaknesses. So how can you want to have peace in your marriage if your husband feels disrespected? And obviously, I mentioned husband, but this works the other way around. All right? So the Word of God is your guide, my friend. So get rid of all these things that you learned along the years, all these theories. Throw them all in the bin and be happy in your marriage with the Word of God guiding you. The Word of God tells you, love your neighbor as you love yourself. So you go into a marriage knowing that your project is to make that person flourish. Nothing else. And your spouse will do the same. So how can you not be happy? But we have many people going to relationships to, oh, I want to be happy, you know. You see that a lot in the movies. Oh, friends talking, oh, you know, it's about time I'm happy, right? In my love life. Hold on a second. You should be a happy person before you get married. You shouldn't put that burden on another human being to make you happy. Only God can make you happy. A good marriage will just complement your happiness that already exists inside of you. So think about that. Maybe we can talk about this more times, depending on the next secrets. And obviously, let's see if we will revisit a bit of this topic. I would love to talk more about this. All right, that's all for now. May God bless you. Any questions? You know, we have a dedicated email you can see on the screen now. And remember, share and subscribe. God bless you. See you next time. Bye-bye.